first prediction is that in 2023, there will be fewer homes sold in Canada than we saw in 2022, potentially trending to a buyer's market. I expect all of those, like the national trend, to be a downward trend in prices. Least likely this year is that home prices increase by 5% or more. I just don't see that happening, but I do expect rent prices to remain at fairly high levels.
Hey there, and welcome back to Bald Prairie Real Estate. My name is Matthew Pfeifer, real estate agent in Regina. That's my trusted assistant, 𝗬𝗲𝗍, and that was a quick look back at my 2023 Canadian real estate market predictions video. Don't worry, we're going more in depth to see which ones I got right and which ones I didn't get right. Plus, we'll go through the predictions that were made by TD, Royal LePage, RE/MAX, etc. See how close those forecasts got. We'll give you their forecast for 2024, and we'll finish this video off giving you my predictions for the 2024 Canadian housing market. And of course, you guys will have lots of fun in the comments below. Let me know whether you think I'm gonna be right or not. But please, with any of these predictions, whether mine or anybody else's, do not base your decision, because if your plan to buy a house is based on a forecast becoming correct, whether it's mine or anybody else's, you don't have a plan anymore to buy a house. You have a hope and a dream, and that's not the way you go about it.
There's nothing buried here but hopes and dreams.
So please, just take these for entertainment purposes only. Don't base your decision to buy a house on what I've said or anybody else has said. As I've always said before, buy a house when it makes sense for your own personal situation. But let's start this off with another one of my terrible bad dad jokes. And this one comes from a viewer again. I love those. Those are my favorite jokes. Where do I store all of my bad dad jokes? In my database. If you have a terrible joke that I can use in a future episode, put it in the comments below. Let's get into this forecast video. Let's quickly go back and look at the different expert forecasts and kind of see how close they got. Now remember, these are national projections, and there's no such thing as a Canada-wide real estate market. There is a bunch of very regional markets. What's happening in Toronto is not what's happening in Calgary, and even what's happening within the city of Calgary is gonna be different neighborhoods, different price points, different property types. So you need to drill down into your specific neighborhood and the types of properties you're looking at. Don't expect what happens nationally to represent what's happening in your area or even what's happening on the other side of the city. But TD expected, again, all nationally, prices would be down 11% year over year. RBC said prices would be down 8.5%. Canadian Real Estate Association said they'd be down about 2.5%. Royal LePage said they'd be down 1%. RE/MAX said they'd be down 3.5%. Fitch Ratings said somewhere between 5 and 7%. So where did we end the year? Where did we start the year? Let's start with that. We started in December of 2022 that prices nationally were about $705,000. That's Canadian Real Estate Association's composite benchmark price. We ended 2023 in December with prices at $710,000. So basically unchanged all through the year. Now, a lot of people laughed at Royal LePage's forecast saying, oh, 1% decline. That's just a real estate company putting a rose picture on things. They got to keep pumping the market, telling you prices are always going to go up forever. And yes, Royal LePage, along with a lot of other companies like RE/MAX, TD, etc., will revise their forecasts all through the year, and all of them did. But it ends up Royal LePage's forecast in December of 2022 was the closest of all the forecasts that were made all through the year of where prices would end. Let's start this off talking about all the different expert predictions for where they think the Canadian real estate market's going to end 2024. Starting off with TD, and this got their prediction here, got quoted a lot in the news where they said prices will be down 10%. And I saw this all over the place. See, TD is saying how bad things are going to get. Yeah, that's not what they said, though. You have to go and read beyond the headlines to actually see what they said. They said prices would be down 10% by the end of Q1 2024 from where they were at the end of Q3 2023. So essentially kind of where prices had peaked out in 2023, somewhere in that late Q2, early Q3 range. Prices right now, as we sit today, are down around 6% from where they were Q3. And the important one that TD had put in this forecast is they expected prices would end the year down about 3%. So actually what they're basically saying is from today, prices will probably end the year 3% higher. I know it's very convoluted the way they do their forecasts. RBC was projecting that home prices would be up 2% year over year, but this forecast was made back in September of 2023. The Canadian Real Estate Association has two predictions. First one is sales will increase 7%. I think that's an easy one with how low sales were in 2023. and that prices would be up 4%. Royal LePage is also projecting an increase of sales, again, not unexpected, and then home prices will increase 5.5%. RE/MAX is expecting sales to also be up, and they're saying prices will end the year up 0.5%, but they've highlighted the importance of regionality. They expect the prairies to see more price growth, Ontario, specifically the Toronto area, to see less price growth, potentially even declines, and Vancouver to kind of be somewhere in the middle. The Bank of Montreal is also expecting the prices will decline kind of in the early parts of the year and then start working their way up. They're saying that there is some pent-up demand they feel is out there, and that lower inventory levels will continue to put kind of a floor on prices. They did say way back in 2022, or kind of early to mid 2022, they expected about a 20 to 25% drop in prices nationally, peak to trough. We're basically there right now. Now let's quickly go through the 6 predictions I made in my forecast video last year and see where they ended up. I said sales would be down. That would end up being correct. Inventory would be up. That was correct. The prairies would be the hotter, busier markets. That one was correct. That condos and townhouses would be more popular than single-family homes. That was correct. The rental market I thought was going to slow down. We'd see the increases in rent slow down and we'd see a less hectic market. That ended up being not correct at all. The rental market went like absolute gangbusters all through 2023. And then I expected home prices in the Canadian real estate market would remain relatively unchanged, plus or minus no more than 3 to 5%. That's exactly where we ended the year. So getting 5 of 6 right, I'm pretty happy with that. Now the moment you've all been waiting for. What do I think is going to happen in the 2024 Canadian real estate market? Well, I have 5 predictions for you this year. We'll go through them one by one and give you kind of a little bit of thoughts on each one of them. I'm expecting that there will be more homes sold in 2024 than there were in 2023. This one probably seems like a pretty easy one, especially in places like Toronto, where they saw the lowest number of sales in something like 20 years. It was half the number of sales from just 2 years ago. So I think that's a pretty easy one. Then we're going to see more homes sold in Canada this year than we did in 2023. Now, what do I think is going to be kind of the hot it product this year in the hot it markets? Well, first off, it's going to be any houses that have any sort of rental potential. So whether they have a laneway suite or a basement suite, I think those are going to continue to be more popular in Canada as we have people coping with higher interest rates, the higher cost of living, trying to find ways to reduce those costs a little bit. And I'm going to put single family homes in here. Not that I think they're going to sell like gangbusters. I actually don't think they are, simply because of cost. But what I think you're going to see is single family homes that show well, that are priced well in good neighborhoods, are going to continue to attract a lot of attention, because at the end of the day, I believe most Canadians aspire to owning a single family homes, and the good ones are going to sell quickly. When it comes to the hot markets, I think we will continue to see the prairies being the in-demand hot markets. We're seeing it. I am absolutely personally, especially from Ontario and British Columbia, investors looking to put money into areas like Calgary, Edmonton, Saskatoon, Regina. I think that's going to continue. I get calls, I think it seems like almost weekly, people looking for investment properties. As well, I think you're going to see some migration out of Ontario and BC, people looking at the prices of homes in the prairies and saying, this is more affordable. I'm going to move there, pick up my life because of the affordability. I'm never going to be able to afford to buy a house in BC and Ontario, and I can in Saskatchewan or Alberta. Which, by the way, if you are thinking about buying a house, whether it's in Saskatchewan, obviously Regina, I would love to help you out. But if it's anywhere in Canada, if you look in the description of this video, there's going to be a link to my calendar where you can book me in for buyer's consultation, and I will get you set up with the best real estate agent in your market if it's not here in Regina. I want to talk about inventory for a second here. It's more of a trend to watch than it is a true prediction. I actually think we're going to see inventory levels kind of balance out. We saw them start the year low last year, shoot up like crazy, and then they kind of started to flatten off at the end of the year. And I think we're going to kind of see some stability there. The reason I'm talking about inventory is because it's an important metric to watch, and it's one of these buzzwords that we've been hearing about in the Canadian real estate market. There's always a buzzword that the news is talking about. A few years ago, we were talking about foreign buyers, then we were talking about bidding wars, blind bidding, etc. Now there's this whole idea of a renewal cliff. All these people are going to have to renew into higher mortgage rates, and they're going to be unable to make those payments. They're going to be unable to even qualify for the mortgage. They're going to be forced to sell. There's no these distressed properties, and that of course would drive prices down. Well, we already saw roughly 1 million people renew mortgages in 2023. There will be more in 2024, and there will be even more in 2025. But we didn't really see that wave of distressed sellers materialize in 2023. What we see in 2024, I think it's going to be more of a continuation of what we saw in 2023. We will see more distressed sales, people having to put their houses up for sale. But if you want kind of a deep dive, Conrad Neufeld, great mortgage broker out of Saskatoon, did a really good deep dive. I'm going to link his video below because he talks about exactly what happens when renewals come up and are we going to see this big wave of distressed sellers. So that video will be in the link below as well. Okay, a lot of talk. What am I saying as a prediction for inventory levels? Well, I don't think we're going to see a big wave of distressed sellers. I do think we will see some people that will have to sell their house because of higher interest rates and mortgage payments, etc. But I do not see this big wave of inventory coming to the market. I actually think it's going to follow more typical seasonal patterns this year. Now, if you've been following my videos for a while, you see this prediction coming a mile away, and that is I think we're going to see fewer housing starts this year, 2024, than we did in 2023. I think they're going to be a fairly significant drop off in housing starts. There's two reasons for that. First, of course, is interest rates are making projects financially unviable. They just simply don't pencil out anymore. And so builders aren't going to be able to start those projects. The other thing that I think we're going to see is fewer pre-construction sales, because we have seen now what happens when people who have bought pre-construction purely on speculation, expecting those home prices to increase, and they're just going to flip those out. They have no interest in qualifying, no intent of qualifying for a mortgage to actually take over that property. And then when it doesn't sell or can't sell for more money than what they paid for it, it obviously goes in the rental pool, or they have to force to sell it and take a loss. So I think you're going to see people even a little bit more nervous or gun shy around pre-construction sales. And so that's going to mean fewer projects actually sell out and may not meet that threshold they need to acquire their construction financing, may never get off the ground. And I think we're going to be talking about the lack of inventory and the lack of houses in Canada for a while, specifically because this is a problem that doesn't get felt today. It gets felt 2-3 years from now, where these houses that should have been built never got built. This is going to be a fun section because I am going to predict what the Bank of Canada is going to do with interest rates and when they're going to do it. And you guys, I know, will let me know in the comments below, because this one is going to look really, really good. I'm going to look like a genius, or it's going to look really, really bad. And you guys will let me know all year long how I got these all wrong. I am recording this video before the Bank of Canada does its January rate announcement, and it's going to come out after that. So we're going to go through them, each one of these. Again, one of these by the time you watch this video will have already happened. January 24th, I think they're going to hold interest rates. March 6th, they're going to hold interest rates. April 10th, maybe a cut, but I think they're going to hold interest rates. June 5th is the first time I think the Bank of Canada is going to cut interest rates. July 24th, I think they're going to cut interest rates. September 4th, I think they're going to cut. October 23rd, another cut. And they're going to finish the year December 6th with a final cut. All these at 0.25%. Again, the Bank of Canada has done wild things and gone up and down more than 0.25%, but I think they're going to ratchet things down slowly. We'll have to wait and see. The other thing is when it comes to fixed rates, of course, those are impacted by the bond market. I think at some point through 2024, you're going to see fixed rate mortgages somewhere in that 4.5%. I don't know if they're going to end the year that way. Volatile market, with the bond market, how volatile it's been right now, it's going to be crazy. But I do think you're going to see around 4.5% interest rates on 5-year fixed at some point in 2024. Now we're going to talk about home prices, and I want to predicate this on a couple things. First, I'm going to rank these from least likely to happen to most likely to happen, and this is barring some unforeseen event like the Bank of Canada raising interest rates 4% in 1 year. Something that happens, all bets are off on these. The least likely scenario I have here is that home prices drop by more than 10%. We saw that it took a 5% increase in interest rates in basically a year to drop home prices 17%. So that's what it would take to drop home prices by a massive margin, by more than 10%. Again, I don't think we're going to see it this year. So that's my least likely scenario for the year. The next least likely is that home prices increase by more than 5%. I can see a scenario where we get close to seeing home prices increase by 5% year over year, but I don't think we're going to get that tipping point where home prices increase by more than 5%. Now, what I think is going to be the most likely scenario is that home prices either increase or decrease, and I can see either of those being likely this year, but I don't think they're going to change by more than 3 to 5% either way. So we're starting the year, national aggregate price around $710,000. I don't think we end the year up or down much more than 3 to 5% from that number. There you go. That's what I think is going to happen in the 2024 Canadian housing market. You guys, let me know in the comment section below. What do you guys think is going to happen this year in the Canadian real estate market? I'm going to save a few of those comments and we're going to look back at them a year from now. We're going to put them in the video, see how close you guys got on those predictions. If you love learning about Canadian real estate, well, of course, then you should subscribe to the Bald Prairie Real Estate channel. The button is right there. Hit the like button. YouTube algorithm loves that. You should watch this video next. That's what the YouTube algorithm says you need to watch next on Bald Prairie Real Estate. And as always, guys, thanks very much for watching.